Once upon a time, there was a sweet nobleman who had a sweet wife and daughter, but his wife died, and his second one was horrid. She had 2 daughters whose bad tempers had given them ugly faces. They were mean to their stepsister Ella. She had to sweep the sisters from the grate, so they called her Cinderella. One day the king's son sent out invitations to a grand ball at the places the ugly sisters spent ages deciding what to wear, and Cinderella had to help them get dressed and brush their hair. There was no question of Cinderella going to the ball in rags. When the ugly sisters had left for the ball, Cinderella burst into tears. "How I wish I could go too," she cried. Suddenly, her fairy godmother appeared. "Don't cry, child," she said. "Of course you can go to the ball, but first we'll need a few bits and pieces. Fetch me 1 pumpkin, 6 little mice, 1 large rat, and 6 lizards." Well, Cinderella couldn't think how a pumpkin and some animals were going to get her to the ball, but she did as her fairy godmother asked. Her fairy godmother waved her wand and whoosh! The pumpkin disappeared and in its place stood a beautiful coach. Then she waved her wand again, and the 6 little mice turned into a team of handsome carriage horses. The rat was soon rather a fat coachman, and the lizard became 6 footmen. So now Cinderella had a lovely coach to take her to the ball, but she was still in her rags. Her godmother smiled and tapped her once with her wand. Immediately, Cinderella was dressed in shimmering gold. "Now off you go," said her godmother. "But remember, at midnight everything will go back to the way it was, so you must be home before then." Cinderella promised, then stepped into her beautiful coach. The 6 white horses set off towards the king's palace. Everyone at the ball stopped dancing when the mysterious stranger arrived. Cinderella looked so beautiful in her gold dress that everyone thought she was a princess from a foreign country. Even her 2 sisters were fooled. The prince was just as curious as everyone else. From the moment Cinderella came into the ballroom, he danced with no one else. By the end of the evening, he was madly in love with his beautiful princess, and he didn't even know her name. And Cinderella was just as much in love with the prince. But as they were dancing, Cinderella suddenly heard the chimes of the palace clock. "Oh no!" she cried. It must be midnight. Cinderella ran away from the prince, out of the ballroom and down the palace steps, losing one of her glass slippers along the way. By the time she reached the bottom step, the clock had finished striking 12, and Cinderella was in rags again. The prince ran after Cinderella, but all he found was a beautiful glass slipper from the steps, and sent out a proclamation. He said, "I will marry the person whose foot fits this slipper. We'll ask every woman in the kingdom to try on the slipper." So the prince went to every house in the kingdom, and soon he came to the house where Cinderella lived with her stepsisters. Of course, the ugly stepsisters were very eager to try their luck, but no matter how hard they pushed their big feet into the glass slipper, it didn't fit. So Cinderella came forward to try on the slipper. To the amazement of her stepsisters, it fitted perfectly. The prince looked up at Cinderella's face and recognized the beautiful princess he had danced with at the ball. So he married Cinderella, and unlike the stepsisters, they lived happily ever after. The end. Hope you enjoyed.